Alright everybody, here's the update. I think it's been a couple weeks, but I do have my panels mounted up on the rooftop there. You can see them sitting up there. The middle leg is actually still just sitting up there, which is okay, really. It's kind of held in by friction, which I know isn't the best, of course, if we have a tornado. But if we have a tornado, I have other things to worry about. But bringing you into what I've got on the wall over here, this is the way not to do things, okay? I've got the solar panels coming down into a kind of a homemade combiner box there, and that runs into the TriStar, or not the TriStar, I'm sorry, the Morningstar, box here, which I'll show you here in a second. Runs from there over to the TriStar MPPT 45 controller, and down to the bank of batteries. This is how not to connect your batteries. I don't condone this. It's very bad. I mean, it's not the worst, because I do have, decent connections here, but nothing's fused. There's a lot of potential issues here, okay, guys? Just trying to play around a little bit. Those two outlets you see here are live, grid powered. This here is my trimetric controller, so you could see my batteries are at 99%. Right now I'm charging them with 0.4 amps of current, so just under a half amp, and they are at 27.1 volts. That will be mounted in the house eventually. But back to the Midnight solar box, I guess I can kind of show you what's going on. And again, guys, let me get this off here. Hang on. This is probably a good example of what not to do, although I don't think it looks too bad. But I've got the solar coming down. I got ground and neutral here, and then hot comes down into a breaker here, which is a 63 amp breaker, and that gives me the opportunity to shut off the solar if I need. But what happens is the hot from the solar comes over and it goes into the TriStar MPPT controller, and I'm going to plumb this and I'm going to plumb that, and everything's going to look nice when I'm done. Then what happens is, out of the controller, I'm charging the batteries with this cable. Instead of going straight down to the battery, I come back to this box so I can hit this lug right here, which in turn is a central connection point back down and around to the batteries, which is positive here. But to feed the inverter, the batteries come back over here through this 250 amp breaker, and then the hot side comes down. Let's see if I can get this with my finger here. The hot side comes down and connects to the back side of the inverter. That's a 5,000 watt Ames inverter. It's modified sine wave. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and so far it's doing what I've heard, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's kind of weird though. I do find some AC voltage. For example, if you measure from the battery negative terminal to the shell, battery negative terminal to say earth ground, I get about 55 volts. Same thing from the positive terminal to earth ground. However, between the two, the potential is pretty much zero, which tells me they're in phase. So maybe it's a capacitor, connection inside the unit. I don't know. But I mean, obviously I could touch it. It's not on now. But if it was, I could touch it. I feel a little tingle, and I called Ames, and they told me that's a common ground, and it's supposed to do that. And it was on my lunch hour, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to BS about it. But I do intend to call them back and discuss further. Back to the topology of my layout here. The ground of the inverter comes on back here, and the ground of the battery comes in here. So the only connection I have on the bottom side of this shunt, it's called a shunt, by the way, if you didn't know, and what it does is it sets up a minute measure of resistance, which is proportional to the current draw. And the trimetric, you program the trimetric controller to know how to read that, so you can understand how much current you're consuming, how many amp hours you consume, etc. So anyway, the only side of the connector here is the battery negative. On the other side of the shunt is where all other negatives happen, which basically this point is the same as this point, which is the same as this point here, and some may argue differently. Seems to be working out okay, for me, but this orange wire here is it's like a Cat5 Ethernet cable network connection, and what you got to do is you connect into the, I think they're called Kelvin connections, I'm not 100% sure, but they do call out specifically to connect to the sides instead of to the main lug. And that goes down to the trimetric. That's how it measures. You need two connections on the, final ground side. And they call that out specifically. So in other words, you cannot tie those connections together at the trimetric and run wire back. And there's explanation in the manual why you shouldn't do that. And I'm not going to explain that. If you're interested why, you can get on trimetric.com and figure it out. I think one of the, if not the owner, one of the head guys there, his name's Ralph, extremely helpful, extremely patient. I really recommend, if you're interested in tracking your usage and you want to know what the system's doing, guys, I really recommend the trimetric, and a lot of that is because of the customer service, the ECUs. I just like it, and maybe that's just me, but I'm happy with it. I like everything I bought. I did a lot of research. The TriStar, heard great things about it. There's other components out there to do the same thing, to charge batteries through solar, but by far the TriStar has great ratings through the user community, and from what people say, that's what means the most to me. Not some vendor tooting their own horn, but when people rate it and talk about it and you see it in the forums, that's what counts to me. So that is an update to my system. I could turn the inverter on. Let's see. Before I turn it on, let me unplug this here. I'll show you what I did, which again is probably illegal. But what I did is I turned off my main breaker in this entire building, and I made this cable with two male plugs. And what I do is I plug one back into the main building that is powerless now, so I could touch that. I'm fine. Nothing's gonna shock me or kill me. And then I plug my inverter, or I plug the other end into my inverter, and I turn that on. And when I do so, you will see some current use, and it might just be like there are a couple vampire draws, what I call them, just you know, some things here and there. I'll take you over here. Some things here and there just sucking, you know, battery power, like the old wall wart, which I'm charging a couple batteries over here goofing with this scooter. But this radio, if I turn it on, I'm going to turn it around and then I'll turn the radio on and you'll see the current draw go up here. Let's see what we can do. If that focuses, I will show you. Okay, here we go. Well, not the greatest example here, but you can see it went up. We're drawing about 1.5 amps of current. You see it's negative. That means we're sucking current out of the battery. Let me go ahead and turn on, say, let's turn on a drill press. Okay, we got that on now. And we'll come back over. And now you see we're drawing about 8.2 amps altogether. And you know, I could turn lights on, I could turn other things on. Well, here's a fan in the window there, and that's from a roof ventilation unit. Let me just plug that in. And guys, in here I'm in Ohio, and it's hot. Tomorrow we're expected to have over 100-degree weather. That's Fahrenheit. It's insanely hot. So let me plug this guy in, and you will see a climb. The amperage drawn. All right, so now we're drawing 17.2 amps. Got that guy kicking. And if I cycle through the trimetric, we could see we are at 99% of the battery bank potential. We're at 25.6 volts. And what I did is these guys here are about 55 amp hours each, and in series your amp hours stay the same. So I took 55. Each one of these I'm guessing is about 15, 15. And I kind of added that up, and to be conservative, what I did is I told the trimetric that you program your values into the trimetric. And I told the trimetric that it's about 100 amp hours, just being conservative. So then what it does is it subtracts your amp hours as you use it. And then as you charge, like if I shut everything off now the sun's going down, guys. So let me shut everything down. You'll see the number goes from negative. And it should bounce to the positive side if I have some sun up on the roof right now. And I do. Not much. Just over 1/2 amp. So yeah, I don't have much. You could see the TriStar's going, hey, with this middle light on, saying, hey, the battery bank's a little low right now. And that's because my battery bank's crap, really. I mean, it's free, but it's crap. I think I'm still zoomed in. There we go. So, it's good, but it does the job.